The Exorcism. Mystery in the quiet town of Ravensbrück, nestled deep within the woods, an eerie tale had been whispered through generations. It was said that in a decrepit mansion on the outskirts of town, a dark force had taken residence. The mansion, known as Hollow Manor, was once the grand estate of the Hemsworth family, but it had stood abandoned for over a century after a series of unexplained deaths. The townspeople believed the mansion was cursed, and no one dared to enter it until Father Jonathan arrived. Father Jonathan was a man of faith, but also a man of reason. He had heard the stories, but he didn't believe in curses. What intrigued him was the mystery of the Hemsworth family and the strange occurrences that had driven everyone away from the manor. He was determined to uncover the truth, and if there was any evil presence, he would expel it. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Father Jonathan made his way to Hollow Manor. Armed with his Bible, holy water, and an unwavering belief in the power of good, he pushed open the creaking gate and stepped into the overgrown garden. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the wind whispered through the trees as if warning him to turn back. But Father Jonathan pressed on, undeterred. He pushed open the heavy oak door of the mansion and entered the grand hall. The interior was just as decayed as the exterior. Dust-covered furniture, cobwebs hanging from the chandeliers, and walls adorned with portraits of the long-dead Hemsworth family members, their eyes seeming to follow him as he moved. As Father Jonathan explored the manor, he felt an increasing sense of unease. The silence was oppressive, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Finally, he reached the heart of the mansion, a large circular room with a cracked marble floor. In the center of the room was a stone altar, and atop it lay a dusty leather-bound book. Father Jonathan approached the altar, his heart pounding. The book was ancient, its pages yellowed with age. As he opened it, a chill ran down his spine. The pages were filled with strange symbols and incantations, none of which he recognized. But what caught his attention was a single word, repeated over and over. Resurgam. I shall rise again. Before he could process what he was seeing, the temperature in the room dropped sharply. The candles flickered and then went out, plunging the room into darkness. A low, guttural growl echoed through the chamber, and Father Jonathan felt a presence, a dark, malevolent force, growing stronger with each passing second. With trembling hands, Father Jonathan clutched his Bible and began to recite prayers. The growling grew louder, and the room began to shake. Shadows moved along the walls, taking the shape of grotesque figures. Father Jonathan knew he was in the presence of something ancient and evil. He sprinkled holy water on the altar and continued his prayers, but the dark force only seemed to grow more powerful. It was as if the very walls of the manor were alive, pulsing with malevolence. The book on the altar began to glow, its pages turning on their own as if an unseen hand was guiding them. Desperate, Father Jonathan shouted, "In the name of God, I command you to leave this place." For a moment, everything went still. The growling stopped and the shadows froze. But then, with a deafening roar, the dark force lashed out. Father Jonathan was thrown across the room, his body slamming into the wall with bone-cracking force. Dazed and bleeding, he struggled to his feet. The dark force swirled around him, a vortex of pure evil. It whispered in his ear, mocking him, telling him that he was too late, that the Hemsworth curse would never be broken, and that the dark power within the manor would rise again. With his last ounce of strength, Father Jonathan reached for the book and tore it from the altar. He held it high, and with a final prayer, he threw it into the fire that had suddenly ignited in the hearth. The moment the book touched the flames, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the manor. The shadows recoiled, the growling ceased, and the dark force began to dissipate. The room grew warmer, the oppressive weight lifted, and the mansion fell silent once more. Father Jonathan collapsed to the floor, exhausted but victorious. He knew the battle had been won, but the mystery of Hollow Manor would never be fully understood. The evil had been driven out, but the dark history of the Hemsworth family would remain, a haunting reminder of the forces that lurk just beyond the veil of our understanding. As he left the mansion, Father Jonathan took one last look at the manor. The sun was beginning to rise, casting long shadows across the grounds. He knew that the town of Ravensbrück was safe, for now. But deep down, he also knew that evil, like the word in the book, would always try to rise again. I hope you enjoyed this fictional tale of mystery and exorcism.